Hey there, guys. This is Pro Football Tailgater. I'm Chris Rowe, and today's video is uninsurable chefs. This is a list of wide receivers that are going to cook this year. They are completely uncoverable, uninsurable chefs. All these wide receivers are undeniably consistent and through their air because of talent and situation. Remember, we are looking to make a roster that will make you a consistent, high fantasy output week to week. Not just boom games, consistent volume is the name of the game to win every week and raise your statistical outcome to a winning percentage. In other words, these are the players I am completely bought in on that are going to give you the best chance to win. If there is a player that is missing on this list, it's because I do not believe they have the chance to be as consistent every week as much as these players. Number one, we are looking for wide receivers that can score 12 to 20 points a game consistently. They got to be number one target on their offense. Their QB is consistent for them. This position is dependent on the QB position. It's completely dependent on it. And they don't have any setbacks that would make their situation change significantly, injury or OC, scheme issues, etc. So, with having said that, let's get into it. First chef I have is Jamar Chase. The Bengals are actually on time this year. This is not a year of contract holdouts, no injuries as of yet. They're all practicing in OTAs together, and it doesn't look like they're going to start slowing, like they're going to start slow again this year, like they always do. Joe Burrow feels like they are dangerous this year. Like his college team that won the championship, that's how dangerous he feels that they are. Now, quarterback wouldn't say that unless they felt that they were in sync, unless they felt like they were making good progress. I think that means something. Jamar Chase is undeniable when Joe Burrow is throwing him the ball as his number one option. I mean, the guy is pretty much the best receiver in football. There might be some arguments with a couple other players on this list in the order that they are in. But Jamar Chase, if you have him on your team, you have upside of 30 points a game. Your floor is probably around 15. He does, in 2024, when he had a fully healthy Joe Burrow for all games, he had a 23.71 points per game average. So, when you're getting Jamar Chase, obviously you're getting him in the first round. You're expecting that consistency. He's not going to be your problem on your team as long as Joe Burrow's healthy. They are a pass-first offense, so no matter the opponent, they are always going to sling it, and the schedule doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter what their schedule looks like. They're always going to sling it. So that's Jamar Chase. He's my number one player. For the next, Justin Jefferson. He's back, baby. He had bad QB play for the last couple of years, and he's returning to form as the best receiver in football. Now, he is purely the best receiver talent-wise. I know I just said Jamar Chase could be the best receiver in football. We're just talking about for fantasy purposes. When we talk about talent, Justin Jefferson is clearly the number one receiver in the past 7 years. Name, I say, almost all of history. He is a really, really good receiver if you don't know. Just letting you know. Murray will be his QB all year this year. I know that there's some talk of QB competition, but I don't think that they signed him for that deal under KOC just to swing back to McCarthy. Maybe they might if they have a losing record, but if they have a winning record, you don't change your quarterback. If they're doing well, even if they're off to a little bit of a slow start, I think they're going to give Murray a fair shake. He's on a $1.3 million prove-it deal, and he used to be a 1.1 overall pick. I think KOC knows exactly what he has, and maybe the situation was just bad in the Cardinals for the last couple years, which it was. He still has the talent. He's still good. He's still fairly young. He's not super old. If he gets all his stuff together, I don't see why Murray couldn't get it to Justin Jefferson, at least for our purposes. KOC has a history of rehabilitating quarterbacks. He knows how to coach a quarterback. He can change talent, or at least use talent to their best of ability. If he squeezed the last of Daniel Jones's, well, no, I'm sorry, he squeezed the last of Carson Wentz's talent out of him. He got the best of what he could get out of Carson Wentz before he got super injured. Cousins was his best there. Daniel Jones went there basically for a spell just to coach himself up, and now he's on Indianapolis. He got a bag. He's doing okay other than the injury. He's doing okay other than the injury. Vikings have the 11th toughest schedule. They are a pass-first team. They're going to throw a lot. They have Aaron Jones and they have Jordan Mason there as their running backs. Jordan Mason really doesn't catch much. Aaron Jones is getting kind of old. So they're going to lean on their pass first, especially since Murray can sling it. He's done pretty well. And I think he'll do pretty well in this new offensive scheme. Well, at least for him. KOC is gonna push him. Justin Jefferson's career average is 17.7 points a game. That's for his career over 7 years that he's been in the NFL. He's pretty consistent. Even with a down year last year, I think he returns to form. Kyler Murray knows how to get the ball to his number one receiver, DeAndre Hopkins, and Christian Kirk ate when they were in Arizona under Kyler Murray, under a decent scheme. So I don't have any qualms about Justin Jefferson returning to form and being a great number one receiver again. For my next, Sun God himself, Amon-Ra St. Brown. He is as consistent gets. He averages 15 points per game going into his 6th year. He plays in a dome 12 games this year. Jared Goff is better in domes. It is historically accurate that he plays a lot better in controlled environments instead of weather games. They have 12 games. Amon-Ra is going to get fed. You already know it. It doesn't really matter their offensive coordinator position. These players know each other well enough that they know what they're basically going to do. Dan Campbell took over play calling last year. He's handing it over to a new OC, but that doesn't really matter. All the elements point in favor to the Lions being as good as they can possibly be this year. There's no real change in personnel. He's the number one target on his team. And they have the easiest schedule in the league this year. It just is matching up, and if you want consistency, Amon-Ra St. Brown is the most consistent receiver you can get on this list. For my next, Puka Nacua. Only the OC has changed. He might take a dip in production because Nate Schezelhaas, I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong, we don't know much about him, and the scheme is just different. It's not going to be the same as what Mike LaFleur brought. Mike LaFleur is now in the Cardinals. So the Rams kind of got to put something together. We don't know how much different it'll be, but it's still Sean McVay. McVay knows how to coach. Puka Nacua was that gem that they found in the 7th round. The guy is a beast. His play style is rough. He's always throwing his body everywhere. He's probably one of the hardest working guys on the field when he's on the field. He's still the number 1 receiving option when he's healthy, but him being rough, it's a bit concerning because sometimes he gets a little hurt. So you kind of got to build that in as you're drafting him. I know he really should be in the top 3 or 4 players overall. There's a durability thing there. He might miss 1 or 2 games throughout the year. Just be prepared for that. He's got an MVP quarterback in Matt Stafford. He's still playing. Even so, Ty Simpson is very talented and would fit in a McVay system. I've seen the tape. He looks like he would fit right in. Despite early reports of him losing his backup job, I think he's still perfectly capable of learning the system and being able to run Sean McVay's system as if well, I don't want to say he's a replacement for Stafford, but I think Puka Nacua, for our purposes, is still going to be the number 1 receiving option. They would force it down. I know Devontae Adams is there, but Puka is it. So there's no question of where the value lies here. Well, not the value, but who the number 1 receiver is. Who's going to get the lion's share. It's Puka Nacua. So with that, I'm going to move on to my next one. Rashee Rice. I said this in the last video. I understand. I know. Drama. He's volatile in his personal life, and everybody's scared it's going to bleed into his professional life. He's going to get suspended or something. He'll go to jail, because he's on probation. Look, he was on probation last year. It's a contract year for him. He's still the number 1 target for Patrick Mahomes when he's on the field. He's money. Okay? He was averaging 18 points per game. Even if it's Justin Fields has a tendency of hyper-focusing. If Justin Fields opened the season for the first couple games, Rashee Rice is still going to eat. Think of DJ Moore when DJ Moore was the number 1 receiver on the Bears with Justin Fields. He ate. DJ Moore got a bag that year. Why? Because Justin Fields hyper-focuses on Rashee or on his number 1 receiver, which is going to be Rashee Rice. Because he's playing for a contract, I think he's going to be on his best behavior. He's motivated to earn a bag. He wants to grab a bag either from KC and stay there, which is his best chance of getting another Super Bowl, or in free agency. Either way, the guy's motivated. I'm kind of betting he's going to be on his best behavior for it. I understand his legal issues, but I don't think they will factor as much. Again, you're buying in on 18 points a game and in your full season. He might be a value this year because everybody else is scared to get him because of the whole legal issue. I'm going to pick him up. I know the risk. I know it's baked in, but if I'm getting him in the 3rd round, maybe 2nd round, he has top 5 receiver upside. If I'm in a snake draft and the 2nd round and I'm in like pick 10 and he's still there in the 2nd round, he's worth it. He's going to be worth it because he's going to be top 5 receiver. It just is. That's the way it is. Nothing has changed. As long as he stays out of legal trouble, the risk is baked in to his draft position. So pick him up. Pick him up. He'll help your team. He helped many of my teams last year win championships. So, all right, for my next one, we got a bit of a shakeup here. A.J. Brown. He is going to a new situation in New England. Drake May is going to be his quarterback, and the question is Drake May better than Jalen Hurts? Passing, yes. obviously, May has running upside, but we're not talking about May for his draft capital. We're talking about May for A.J. Brown's draft capital. Drake May is able to get the ball to plenty of receivers. He hasn't had a true number one, and now he gets a true number one in A.J. Brown. Here's the thing about A.J. Brown. He's going to be the clear-cut number one receiver for Drake May because of his attitude. He has said that beating a DB is much more important to him than even the Super Bowl. That might make one think that he's going to cook the AFC East defenses. He takes pleasure, and he's a little kind of like the way he smiled with it. He was, I want to call him like sadistic, but the guy definitely wants to ball, and he wants to show his talent. He has something to prove, and I think he's going to eat. His career points per game is 15.9, so you're getting a receiver that will at least get you 16 points a game. That's under bad quarterback play from whatever team he's been on. The Titans, the Eagles. Now he goes back to same coaching situation, as the Titans, but now he has a quarterback who can actually get it to him. I think that A.J. Brown is going to work out this year. He's got a couple years left in him, and I think that the Patriots think that too, and he's going to eat. He's going to cook whoever he's up against. That's just what it is. For my next, Jaxon Smith-Njigba. There's no real personnel changes. He's going to be the number one receiver on his team. I know Rashee Rice came in mid-year last year. He'll stretch the field, which means more targets for Jaxon Smith-Njigba. Because they're going to... If Rashee Rice catches up to speed, that means that Jaxon Smith is going to be a little bit more open. No over-the-top safeties. They're going to keep running it. Then they're going to use Shaheed to stretch the field. Jaxon Smith is going to be in between. He's going to be the guy who's going to catch it again. So he's still number one target on his team. The only hesitation I have is offensive coordinator change. Clint Kubiak is now the head coach of the Raiders. He's taken his whole system down there. It's going to change. But the OC is from the 49ers. So there's a little bit of razzle-dazzle there. Purdy has been one of the best passers in the league, so I don't know how much the scheme is going to change. It is going to be a run-first offense, but I think they'll end up throwing more this year because the running game is a bit makeshift. You're starting a new guy, Jadarian Price. Everybody's betting that he'll be the starting running back. Emmanuel Wilson's going over there. George Kalani, who's a veteran, but I think if you would have shown something, you would have shown something by now. They're kind of putting together a run game with Zach Charbonnet out. So it's a little shaky. So they might say, well, show us you can run first. Let's show us you can handle us. Our defensive scheme, we're going to go ahead and, pull our DBs back. We're going to be in nickel. We're going to be putting our safeties up top. They might say, prove it. Prove that you're good. The other thing, too, is 17.93 points per game is unsustainable for this particular offense and offensive scheme. I think it's going to come down a little bit. I expect more like 13 to 15 points per game, given the question marks with the new scheme and the division. The division itself is going to be tough this year. Everybody has a good defense. Well, maybe not the Cardinals. They kind of retooled some stuff, but they're all division rivals that kind of know each other, and they all kind of have the same scheme themselves. Especially with the Cardinals going back and picking up Mike LaFleur. That's gonna be it's gonna be funny because they all kind of have similar schemes now, and the defense starts predicting exactly what the offense is gonna do. So it's gonna be interesting to watch the NFC West. Definitely just to see how they deploy everybody. It's gonna be really interesting. But that's why I have Jaxon Smith-Njigba where I have him. I have him a little bit lower because of these question marks. I think they're real question marks. I know he's healthy, but temper what you think is going to happen. He had a career year, explosive year last year. I just don't think he's going to repeat it. There's just too many question marks and changes. That's why I have him lower. I have him as like a 6 wide receiver. I don't think he's going to be top 3 again. I just don't. So temper your expectations. With that, my next receivers are George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb. I have them together because we just don't know who's number 1 in this. They could both be number 1s. It's difficult to know which one when George Pickens had such a great year. But was that because CeeDee Lamb was injured for part of the year? I think it was like 4 or 5 games. Is that why, or is it just because he's that good? If CeeDee Lamb was there, would he have ended up with the same line? Would George Pickens be at 1,400 yards? Would CeeDee Lamb be at 1,400 yards? Would they both be at 1,400 yards at the same time? I don't know. We can't go back. We can't find out. But we're going to find out this year as long as they're both healthy. They're competing for number 1 targets on team, meaning competition is good because Dak has somebody to throw to no matter what. It is possible that their scheme is going to play out a lot like how the Bengals do their scheme, because the Bengals kind of have 2 number 1s. Jamar Chase is above everybody, but Higgins is not that bad either. He gets open just as much, and depending on who Burrow targets, I think he just hyper focuses on Jamar Chase. CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens have just as good as talent as each other. I know that might be controversial, but I think so. I think George Pickens has proven that he is extremely talented, and they're lucky for having 2 number 1s. I think George Pickens is going to ball out again. He's in a contract year. They put the tag on him. He's got to ball out this year so he can grab a bag either in Dallas or in free agency. I don't think that he's going to go anywhere, especially if he balls out. But they're both going to be number 1. You could draft them around the same spot. I have CeeDee Lamb lower, and I have George Pickens higher to be pretty much side by side. I don't know that anybody else is doing that, but I'm doing that. I just think that CeeDee Lamb's target share is going to come down because George Pickens is a real competition, a real threat to CeeDee Lamb's targets. Just what it is. They're both going to have like 25% target share. It just how it's going to play out. Okay, both will have anywhere from 14 to 17 points per game this year. That's money in the bank. Pick either one of them up in whatever round. If you miss CeeDee Lamb in the first round, pick up George Pickens in the third. It's going to play out. George Pickens is going to be a good value. They're both going to be number 1s. So that's my spiel. Next is Ladd McConkey. Ladd McConkey has hit 1,000 yards, and he's done it before when there's no competition. There's no added wide receivers. He's the number one target now. Keenan Allen is gone. He had the reunion tour last year with Justin Herbert. He was the number one target last year. He ate. Who knows where Keenan Allen's going to go? I sure hope he's not going to come back to the Chargers, to be honest. I would rather have Ladd McConkey as the number one. And I think that as long as he's the number one, he will do really well. Justin Herbert is talented when he's protected, and he's protected with this year with a healthy O-line. They drafted plenty of guys last year. They're going to be second-year vets. They're all playing together in OTAs. And now Mike McDaniels has come as the OC with his scheme, and we all know what that looks like. It's been talked over to death by all kinds of people. We know what it looks like. He had Tyreek Hill, and he had Jalen Waddle. Ladd McConkey is not Tyreek Hill. Ladd McConkey could be Jalen Waddle, although Jalen Waddle is probably faster. Ladd McConkey is talented enough to get Daniel's scheme and eat. I'm pretty sure Herbert is going to hyper target him. There'll be some stuff to Quentin Johnson. There'll be some boom games. But we're talking about consistency again. McConkey is the consistent element in this offense, other than the run game. But with the run game going to be so good, I think the run game is going to be good. That opens up opportunities for Ladd McConkey because they're going to stack those boxes and they're going to say, prove it, and Herbert will prove it with Ladd McConkey. McConkey is one of the best crossers in the league. For whatever reason, he can cross the middle of the field and catch something well. And he's going to eat. He's going to have more touchdowns this year. He averaged, in 2024, when it was his rookie season, he averaged 15 points per game. That's when Keenan Allen wasn't on the team, and now Keenan Allen is currently not on the team. So expect him to be around 15 points per game, which is what you want for consistency purposes. We don't want boom or bust. He did have a little bit of that in his rookie year. I think that's just because he was getting acclimated. But when you're talking about the second half of his rookie year, the guy was consistent as hell. So pick him up. He's my number 7, 8, however you want to figure that out between CeeDee Lamb and Pickens. He's on this list because he's consistent. He's going to cook everybody. Speaking of cook, we got a new number 1 receiver in Philadelphia, DeVonta Smith. Now, I'm not a big Philly fan. I haven't liked all their schemes, especially last year was really bad. They picked up a new offense coordinator, out with the terribly old scheme, and they picked up Sean Mannion. He's a former QB. He's been under Matt LaFleur for 2 seasons. So you know that they're bringing in more of that type of coaching tree under that LaFleur, Shanahan, McVay type of offense, which means they're going to run a lot, and then they're going to pass. Once they stack the boxes, once they trick them, everybody talks about play action. Sure, those are part of the tricks. DeVonta Smith, good player, was amazing in college. He's been in the shadow of A.J. Brown for quite some time. He came in drafted as a number 2. The guy could be a number 1 though, and this is his year to prove it. They still have a top-tier offense. Their line is ranked in the top 2 in most publications. There's going to be time for Hurts to be able to throw this year. Not saying he's going to throw all the time. Hurts has a tendency to run. He scrambles a little bit, but he's going to have time this year. They're going to establish a good running game, and that's going to benefit an efficient passing game. DeVonta Smith might be the most efficient receiver on this whole list. He might have, well, I don't want to say Jaxon Smith-Njigba year like last year, but he certainly has that type of upside where he's going to be incredibly efficient. He's going to get hyper targeted and he's going to catch the balls because he has great hands. I would expect him to have 15 to 16 points per game, as data has shown without A.J. Brown. Anytime A.J. Brown has been in the lineup, he makes 15 to 16 points per game. So if we're looking at that, if we're looking at the emergence of Mekhi Lemon maybe, they still got Dallas Goedert, and of course Saquon Barkley's going to eat in the passing game as well. I think that there is an opportunity for DeVonta Smith to be a real good 1,200-yard receiver this year. So he's definitely going to be a good second-round pick for sure. Speaking of, I am lower on Drake London this year. Drake London has got a couple things that are a little shaky about him. The Falcons have a new head coach in Kevin Stefanski, and they have a new OC in Tommy Rees. I'm kind of pessimistic on Rees putting together a good passing game. And the reason being is because he's been the OC for Stefanski in the Browns. Their passing game wasn't great. It left a lot of meat on the bone. It left a lot of a lot to be desired. Let's put it that way. So I'm a little down on London. I know everybody's got London pretty high in the top 5, and he was really good last year. Even with Penix tossing him the ball, those huge chunk passes that he was getting. If Penix is throwing the ball, you're probably going to see huge chunk passes that will benefit Drake London for sure. If Tua's throwing him the ball, Tua sustained 2,000-yard receivers, but this is not Mike McDaniel's system. It's a little different. Drake London is the clear number 1. Let's get that straight. There's no question about it. He's going to get fed. I just don't think he's going to get fed like he did last year. And the differences are Penix is injured, still recovering. Tua's going to start. Tua has got to get used to a new system. He's got to prove that he's good. Can he get it to Drake London? Sure. How much? Is it going to be high-quality passes? I don't know. There was a year where he was really good when he was firing on all cylinders, and people just for like a second was like throwing him in the MVP conversation, and that was a good time to be a Dolphins fan. Let's put it that way. But now he's on the Falcons. Now his head coach is Kevin Stefanski, which 2-time coach of the year. That's awesome. I think it's going to be Bijan's offense. Drake London is going to take a backseat to Bijan, and I don't know that it's going to be as high volume as he was last year, and certainly not consistent. Now, the only reason why I put him on here is because he is the number 1, and he is going to get fed because there's just nobody else receiving balls there. I think Christian Kirk's there, but I just don't see Christian Kirk being like the threat he once was when he was on the Cardinals or even on the Jags. Now he's just kind of there. He'll have some games too, but he's not going to be the number 1. His target share is not going to be as high as Drake London's. Drake London's looking at anywhere from 25 to 30% target share. That's why I have him on this list. I don't know that he's going to be completely consistent. He was doing somewhere around 15 points per game, depending. But then you got to remove the injury games, and you got to remove the games where he just didn't put up that many points. There's enough of them to be annoying. So there is a little bit of something baked into Drake London's game this year that you're not sure that he's going to be completely consistent, every game. So that's my only kind of worry with Drake London, with his points per game this year. So that's why I'm lower on him. However, I am higher on Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin is gonna shock some people, and not shock as in like he's not gonna have some crazy up year like 1,700 yards or anything like that. But they're gonna draft him like he's a wide receiver too, and he's gonna go pretty low. I would say like 5th round. They're going to draft him and not realize that Terry McLaurin has a lot of upside this year. Now, for the same kind of reasons Drake London is above Terry McLaurin, the same types of reasons why Terry McLaurin is right butt up against Drake London. He is the clear-cut number one on the Commanders, okay? He just is. He got a bag. Now he's healthy. They brought in OC David Blau. He was promoted. Well, they didn't bring him in. He was promoted from the quarterback's coach. He picked up schemes from Ben Johnson, KOC, Cliff Kingsbury. So there's some optimism there. It's pass heavy. Jaden Daniels looks like he's going to sling it. Jaden Daniels is fully healthy this year, and so is Terry McLaurin. As long as there is time for Jaden Daniels to get it to Terry McLaurin, he's going to feed him. He's going to eat because that's pretty much all he has. There's not anybody else in town right now. Everybody's talking about them getting a second wide receiver. They might go out without this second wide receiver. Everybody talks about Brandon Ayuk. As far as I know, Commanders aren't interested in Brandon Ayuk anymore. They're just not. I don't know if Keenan Allen's going to show up. He might. He might show up. They might get him on a veteran deal just so that they can get another distraction. That would help out Terry McLaurin for sure. Terry McLaurin is when he's healthy, he does really well. Historically, through the 2024 season, he did 12 to 15 points per game. He had a top 15 wide receiver finish. So he's not awful. He's not going to be awful. He's going to have really good games, and he has more of an upside this year. I know he may seem old, but he's not. He's going to have one really great year this year, I believe, especially with a pass-first offense like that. So I expect him to repeat 12 to 15 points per game, barring any kind of injuries to McLaurin or Daniels. So for my next one, speaking of injuries, Garrett Wilson. They shut him down last year towards the end of the year. I think they just want to make sure he was healthy. And rightfully so. The Jets weren't playing for anything. I think like the 5th game in, they were already cooked. They went out and picked up a new QB. Well, not new. Actually, it's old. Not he's old, but he's their old QB from before. But it's a new QB because he then showed himself since the last time he was on the Jets. So it's a new QB, but it's an old QB from before. But a new system. So, whatever. It's Geno Smith. He was terrible last year as a Raider. Whatever they were doing over there was just bad. Geno, I think, just refused to go out after a while. He was like, I hate this. Yeah, I think you see it in his face. He was just like, I hate this. I hate my life. Um, he did not want to be on the Raiders. So much so that where he had a terrible time before, I guess being on the Raiders was worse than being on the Jets. Because he's returning back to the Jets as their QB. Geno has sustained 2,000-yard receivers at one time in his time in Seattle. He was sustaining Metcalf and Lockett. Both of those guys, they ate. They did pretty well under Geno Smith. And I feel like Geno Smith, especially under Frank Wright, which is their new OC, Frank Wright. Let me tell you a little bit about Frank Wright. Frank Wright coached Andrew Luck in 2018. He won the Super Bowl as the OC, coaching Carson Wentz and Nick Foles in Philadelphia. That was his year. The Jets may have a competent offense this year, or at least good enough to feed Wilson. I think that he's going to eat similar to how the team ate during the Super Bowl. And I'm talking about the Eagles. I think that Wilson is extremely talented and now is going to have a competent OC calling the offense. And Frank Wright even himself said, I was waiting for a good opportunity, a perfect fit. He believes he's in a perfect fit. Now Aaron Glenn can concentrate on the defense. Aaron Glenn's a competent defensive coach. I think that with the poor quality offensive schemes last year, Aaron Glenn was not able to put together a good defense. Offense was bad. It was just kind of mitigated. Justin Fields didn't perform in that, which I wish he did. I'm a big Fields fan, but he just didn't. He couldn't. He got shipped off. They brought in Geno. Geno will get it to Garrett Wilson. Wilson will eat. He's going to eat. It'll be fine. If you picked up Garrett Wilson in the second, third round, you would be looking okay. If you went RB heavy in the first couple rounds and you picked up Garrett Wilson, it's going to be okay. You're going to have a number one wide receiver, and he will eat more than people think. Don't let recency bias control whether or not you're going to pick up Garrett Wilson. Pick him up if he's there. I know you might have better options, or you might think you might have better options. He's talented enough. I know he's been down ever since Aaron Rodgers left town, but he's competent enough to pull 15 points a game. Because speaking of Aaron Rodgers, Wilson with Aaron Rodgers did 14.8 points per game, and I expect him to return to that. I said 15 points a game. That's what I expect. So, and this guy, the next one, could be controversial. You guys could question why I'm talking about Luther Burden. And everybody's hot on him this year, and everybody's talking about him as the biggest leap. There's a thought process behind that makes sense. When he's mentioning names like Odell Beckham and Justin Jefferson, when he's in that company as far as like unrealized air yards or yards per catch or yak, things like that, the guy is talented as albeit. Super, super talented. It's going to be hard to... Okay, there's a couple concerns, okay? Odunze is still there. He's their number one. But he dropped off on the last half of the year because of this foot injury that he got. People are now trying to walk it back and say it's not such a big deal, but he himself has said that it's different now. It's different. I have to play different. I have to run different. I don't know about you. I'm concerned when somebody has to retool themselves as a professional. That's a lot of hard work, and you start wondering whether or not he can. Allen Robinson had this same injury, and I know everybody's mentioning the exact same things, but Allen Robinson was never the same when he was in his prime. I think he could have played for another 5 years if he had not had that injury. Odunze it could be a permanent change. He might not be a number one anymore. He might be a complimentary receiver. I'm not saying he's not talented. I'm not saying he doesn't know what he's doing or he's not professional. I'm just saying he might be complimentary now. I don't think he is going to have the same type of career that everybody thought he might. It's changing. It's going to change. At least I think so. I could be wrong. He could end up being the number one receiver, and he could be top 15. Could be. I don't know. I'm not quite a doctor, but I don't want to bet my fantasy season on that. I would rather take the upside on Luther Burden. Burden is talented. He's versatile. He gets open. He has the highest per reception percentage of any rookie season. Think what's going to happen here, because Ben Johnson came from Detroit and he created Amon-Ra St. Brown. Amon-Ra St. Brown is talented, but the scheme that really let him flower, that's Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson is the head coach of the Bears, and he's looking to exploit the middle to corner of the secondary with crossers, and Burden is him. He's going to be the guy. I know they got Loveland there. There's a cap on tight ends. He's not going to do wide receiver numbers. If he did, that would be shocking. If it was Travis Kelce numbers in his prime, that would be amazing. I know everybody's looking to the past 3 games that Loveland was in, but it can't just be him. They got to get it. Caleb Williams throws to his receivers. He just does. Go back to his days at USC. He threw to his receivers a lot. He's going to throw to Odunze, to Burden, and Loveland. It's not going to all be Colston. It's not going to all be Colston Loveland. And everybody's talking that way. It's just not. Burden will eat, and I think out of this target share race, I think Burden will end up with the highest target share. And Vegas says that too. Vegas has them at like 800, 900 yards, not even breaking 1,000. I think Burden will break 1,000 easily. And I'm willing to bet on that, especially, at a 3rd round price tag. I think that's where he's at, and I think that's where he's going to stay, barring anything. I think that he is going to eat, and that 3rd round, 2nd round price tag, late 2nd round, I think that's okay. If you had him as your number 2 wide receiver, that would be amazing. But he's going to eat. He's going to be the number 1 wide receiver on his team. He's going to eat. It's going to be close margins, but he's going to come out on top, I think. I expect him to be anywhere from 12 to 15 points a game consistently. I think that he's going to be more consistent than people think. So, either way, that is my list of uninsurable chefs. I'm saying they can't be covered, guys. They're cooks. They're cooking. They're going to cook everybody that they line up against. All these guys, that's what that list is about. They're going to cook consistently. Everybody on that list is going to be consistent. These players are the players you want. If there's anybody missing out of the list and you disagree with my list, that's fine. This is just who I think is going to be good this year. Any one of these guys I'd happy to have on my team as my number 1 or God willing, one of my number 2 receivers even. These guys are money. If you can get 2 of these guys, you're going to be set for the rest of the season. It's just true. It's just what it is. Sorry, my confidence just bleeding out. This is what I'm going to use to win this year. These are the people that I'm going to use. If you like my content, smash, subscribe, thumbs up button, all that stuff. Likes help me out. And I'm going to have a lot of stuff going on the channel. I will be cooking, hence the Pro Football Tailgater. I'm going to have some food. It is an event every Sunday at my house. I eat, I cook, I watch football. How can it get much better than that, guys? It can't. So, anyways, tune in if you're still interested to hear my list. I'll be talking a lot of football all the time. All right. Peace.